So YouTube community, cryptilians and crypto crackheads, the monthly close closed below the monthly 10. That has a 100% hit rate historically, out of only, I guess, 2 or 3 reiterations, because Bitcoin is a newer asset, but it has a 100% hit rate of calling for prolonged downturn. 100% hit rate. So put price back on, you can see very clearly if you zoom in that price closed below that line. Okay. And actually, I think I can delete this because now it's there. Yeah. So that's the monthly 10 EMA price close. So zoom in even more. It closed like, I think it was like 0.65% below. Yep. So more, just, under 1%, but it's still close 1% down. So what I wanted to do in this video is recap with you what can happen in the midterm and the long term. And, just like always, it could go up, it could go down, it could go sideways. Could go up first, then farther down, could go down, then farther up, could go sideways, then up, could go sideways, then down. So that's what we're going to cover and show you what that would look like. And then I'll tell you at the end of the video which one is my favorite choice. Not to say that I would gamble the house on that, but what if I was forced to choose one, which one I would choose and why. And it'd be mostly based off what I'm going to cover here. Hey, midget lady, try not to be banging around dishes as you're making slime, okay? Okay? So, let's look at this little mini bull run of 2019, which is exactly what might have happened here. This is the first month that closed below. The next month was red. It tagged the 21, wicked below it. So these are not closures below. It wicked past, but these aren't closures, so that's not related, right? First close was here. After this run from 3K to 14K, roughly. It wicked past, so it closed below the red. Actually, let's get rid of all these other lines. So it closed below the red, wicked below the 21, held the 21, went on a very clear bull trap, which I've covered in other videos. You can see it very clearly on the weekly. It was going to be a bull trap. You would have sold this had I been a YouTuber at that time. And then ended up having prolonged down period, right? So that's several months, even with the that's almost 100 days of downturn. And during this month is when I took out of my 401k and bought Bitcoin and tried to convince others to do it too. And I was told I was crazy. Well, who's crazy now? I think I snagged it right at 5K, almost exactly on the dot. Even though I think it went down to 4. Yeah, it went down to 4,000. But I think I bought some on the way down, saved some, saw that it was, I thought what I saw was a bounce. It ended up being an aggressive bounce. And I actually bought a 5K on the way up and the way down. Oh, I was trying to dollar cost average, but the 4K just snapped. It was really fast. I might have been sleeping or didn't look at a computer for a few hours. Anyway, so prolonged down period, 90 more days. Okay, and then how long did it take to get back to the time where it closed? So back to this point took even longer. That's it's almost 150 days. So it probably passed that in the middle of the month. So let's call it 120 days, which is 4 months. So in that case, it took 4 months to get back to where it closed the first time. Right? That actually kind of aligns with what I'm, no, that's actually, that's 1 month longer than what I'm kind of thinking, in general terms, for recovery. So here it closed below the 10, had a relief rally, prolonged down period, obviously. So that's 2 in a row where you did have a relief rally. One happened 2 months later, one happened the very next month, with the first few days for the first part of the month, which is what could be happening now. It went down first more, and then a big relief rally. And I think that candle's like 35%. It is a big candle. Oh, fuck. It's a 50% rally. Dang. I knew it was big. I didn't know it was that big. That's definitely what she said. All right, and then even in this relief rally, it went down first, right? 38%. All right. So we have two reiterations. Both continued down. Both had a relief rally. One was the next month. One was the month after. And I don't want to calculate and scare people how long it took to get back to these prices. Like a year or more. All right. So the first time it closed below the 10 EMA. Next month was red. 2 months later was the relief rally, prolonged down period. Okay. So this is similar to the 2019 when it went from the capitulation of 2018 when it had all the dead cat bounces, capitulation. It screamed up to 14K, closed below the monthly 10, went down, went up, and went down farther and capitulated around coronavirus time. This one is almost identical in monthly structure. Okay, so that's two reiterations. 2013 never closed below. That's why I'm kind of scared right now, because our last hopes was 2013. All right, going back all the way to 2011, closed below and went down 2 more months for 4 red candles in a row. Those might be the only 4 red candles. Maybe there are 2 sets of them, actually. I think it only happened twice in Bitcoin history. Once, twice. Yep, the capitulation. Shit. Maybe that was longer than 4. Oh, that was 6 months. Oh my gosh. That was so fun to be in crypto then, watching all your money get drained that you didn't sell because there weren't YouTubers saying sell your altcoins. Sell BPro at 4 cents. Even though my horizontals to buy back were bad, but they weren't. They were very unperfect. However, no one knew that the 4-year cycle was over, right? Until it was over. So at the time, it was good advice, but in retrospect, it was not. The buyback zones. At least I told everybody where to sell on that one. So exactly on the exact right day too. So the fireball picture, in case you wanted to know, it's the fireball thumbnail, the only one that looks like that. Mostly black background. So it's written in history that is accurate information. I literally told people when and where to sell the top of BPro and why on the exact day. All right, so that makes me feel a little bit better. But so things aren't looking good here. How many reiterations was that? Like 4 or 5? Okay, so out of 4 or 5 reiterations, it has a 100% hit rate. Here's your hopium. I just, in that video before I did the apology video, said I'm sorry I messed up or whatever, I backtracked something back to 2011, the squeeze play video, that was 12 out of 12, 100%, that Bitcoin would have a little pop-up, a little past 40K, maybe get blocked at 42. I was thinking maybe 48, 42 to 48, but it had a 100% hit rate in that structure based off of the daily 200 EMA. I'll just show you one example. I won't go through all of them because I made like a 35-minute video on it. But let's see here, daily, normal EMAs, take everything off, leaves 21, these 2. So that video was all about, it was a 100% hit rate that every single time in Bitcoin history that the red and yellow went below the orange and both got a positive slope, right? Which means prices bouncing on top. 100% of times you got some type of rally. Some of them failed, but you at least got over it, significantly over this line. 100%. It might have been 15 reiterations under those specific parameters. Another one, red and yellow below the orange line, got a positive slope, went on a significant run above the 200, right? And obviously it dumped, but I was waiting for a relief rally to try to get people, you know, hey, this is your last chance to sell some of the alts if they, you know, go on a rally here, right? To hold some tether. Yeah, 100% of cases. Here, below the 200, this was the capitulation for 2017 blow-off top, going into 2019, a whole year later. It took a whole year to capitulate, right? So anyway, below the 200, finally got a positive slope here, right in the line, and got above, significantly above the 200, and actually just continued to 14K. Not all of them do that, right? So a lot of them fail, but they always get above 100% of cases. 100% of cases. Every single time that it's a squeeze play. Um, yeah, that's it. I mean, so, and it had a 100% hit rate, and it failed. But this is your hopium, though. My being wrong with a 100% hit rate in 12 reiterations. So here it was. Yeah, it was right here, and it actually went up, tinked it, and tanked, or something to that effect. Or maybe the slopes were actually positive here. Yeah, the slopes were still positive, and I thought it was just going to tinker, come right it, and bam. But nope, it fell through for the first time ever in Bitcoin history. Okay. So, under the conditions that both red and yellow went below and had a positive slope up and was approaching the 200. There are 0 instances where price did not get above this to some degree. I think in 2 reiterations, it only got like, 8% above, but it still got above. Okay. So if something with 12 to 15 reiterations, 100% hit rate, let me make sure I'm recording. I'm not on my double screen. I did get my new computer, so I'll have a new setup. Then I can record in my office without kids around more. But so if a 12 out of 12 or 15 out of 15 hit rate going back to 2011 didn't work because the market is different. The market is not following mass psychology anymore. This Wyckoff is not mass psychology. This is the psychology of essentially a Bitcoin cartel. It's actually more of a crypto cartel because these same people also pumped Ethereum and Cardano, right? So it's a handful of people. So even though the monthly has a 100% hit rate, it might do the damn opposite, just like we saw happen. And if it does the opposite again, it's going to be up. It means it won't have, it means that this was printed on purpose. Price was purposely suppressed below this 10 EMA to get people to realize, like I just said, trick me, it has a 100% hit rate, it's got to go down. And then people are selling into this relief rally, it comes down and maybe tags 40K and just takes off. So what might be happening potentially if this is the case, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I'm saying it's one of the 3 most probable situations. Maybe not this exact shape, right? That's maybe like the 4th most probable in my opinion. But I think one of the most probable scenarios is that this month is not going to tank down to here and that you won't have prolonged down. I don't think that's the most probable. Because 100% hit rates, the exact freaking opposite has the tendency to happen now because it's not mass market psychology anymore. So that's your damn hopium. So my being wrong now gives us hope. But so with that, so even though the 100% hit rate here for the monthly is bad news, also it had fewer reiterations, which on a statistical significance level, even without mass psychology, it actually gives it a better chance of not happening this time raw without these this crypto cartel essentially printing exact shapes how they please. So statistically, from a statistical and mathematical standpoint, it would automatically have a not as bad of a chance. It would already have a decent, okay chance to not repeat that past, right? So that's a mathematical standpoint. Plus history, if recent history repeats itself, the 100% plays are actually traps to make you think it's going to happen, to take on positions in a short direction in this case, and then it pops up on your face. Big disgrace. Kicking or waving your banner all over the place. That's the second verse of We Are the Champions. We will rock you. However you want to call that song. Some people say it's one song, some people say it's separate, but they merged them, whatever. Some say it's a sequel to the first song. I've actually written a couple songs where one was a sequel to the other. I've done that before, but anyway. So now, what I think are the most probable situations are essentially what I said earlier. You know, I wasn't being facetious. I think price could go sideways, then up, sideways, then down, down, or up. And with the up, I think it could go up, then down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scenarios. Okay. So in the up and down scenario, so let's pick scenario number 1. A bull trap. Up, then down, that's 1. Number 2, price could go sideways, then down, just like 2018, capitulating into 2019. But we're going to be able to see that with our EMAs. That's a little far out. If that's going to happen, it will happen a little farther out. There's nothing squeezing price down right now, so it would not happen quite yet. Quite yet. Number 3 is sideways and up. Number 4, up with a tiny retrace, but continue up. And 5, actually, shoot, I lost track. Oh yeah, it's just down, capitulation. Okay, so this capitulation might have a quick relief rally, but capitulation. Down to 16K, 20K, pick a number, 24K. So in this number 5, you have 3 different versions. It could capitulate to 24, to 20, to 16, or to 12. You have a lot of target zones it can hit if it capitulates, especially if the stock market takes a poop soon. If it happens to be related, it can go down to 12K, folks. That is reality. So that's 3 different possibilities within number 5 alone. Okay? So you have a lot of most probable situations. Technically, like 8 of them, because 3 of them are in here. Or maybe that was 9, actually. Let's not say 12K. Let's just say 16K. So you have 8 versions, or 8 possibilities, or most probable scenarios. I personally think this one is the least probable. I don't think 2018, 2019 capitulation will pan back out. And what that looked like was the weekly 10 with it's just the red line squeeze price below the 89. Would it happen exactly the same way? No, but you're going to get a squeeze play with the 10 and something. It's going to squeeze price down like a soap, just like what happened on Dogecoin, but on the daily, right? And I called that, and then like 2 days later, it take 50%. Had a good rebound though. That could happen though on the blue line and red line. That squeeze play might happen here. So actually, there is a squeeze play. Actually, you know what? Sideways and down might not be that improbable. I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to X that out. Shit. I didn't think of the 55. That's only how long away? Jeez. That's the middle of August. Ugh. Crap. I didn't want that to be likely, but actually it is. Okay, well, that is definitely on the table. This sideways and up would be continued chopping action. This even incorporates 26K in here. Okay. I'm counting 24K in this bunch, though. A capitulation. I think Wyckoff accumulation pattern number 1 calls for going down to 26K, keep going sideways, maybe until September, come up around October and November, trying to huddle under this area and then make all-time highs, or at least flirt with all-time highs around January, February, around December, February, and be making all-time highs in January, February, somewhere around there. So that's the sideways and up, which follows Wyckoff accumulation pattern, actually both 1 and 2. The Wyckoff is calling for flirting with all-time highs around the new year. So that is, they're both sideways and up. So honestly, I kind of would like, even though it's going to be boring for a long time, and crypto is going to lose a lot of people who want to get rich tomorrow, it's going to suck the most because you don't get that capitulation. Like, that capitulation is where you make a lot of money, folks. You make so much money from bears taking control. If people say you don't like bears, screw that. You should love bears. Shit, if you capitulate, you're a bear too, right? But hopefully you don't become that. You're somebody buying when the bears are selling in mass quantities. So honestly, this version kind of sucks. This is the worst case scenario, but honestly, it might be the most probable. Because Wyckoff is playing a pattern actually to the T. And we do not know yet if it's accumulation. So you can Google it. So Wyckoff accumulation pattern number 1 and accumulation pattern number 2. We are in the phase where we're about ready to find out if it's going to follow this one, or potentially none at all. It might. So the people pulling the puppet strings, they might have turned off their algos. They might have accumulated all the Bitcoin they wanted, made all the money from this drop that they wanted and this drop. And so from all the money on those big drops, with coordination with the exchanges, very clearly, because exchanges had to make money too. While exchanges were technically paying, assisting the payment of those people making all sorts of money, taking money from gamblers, get liquidated essentially. But anyway, they took a big chunk of the profit from exchanges. So I know that exchanges were billionaires, no other billionaires, or billion-dollar entities, no other billion-dollar entities. And the top hunch, like they know each other. It's a club. Like, to think that it's not true is kind of naive, in my opinion. But I would say it's possible that it's not true, but it's almost definitely true. But I don't know that. So anyway, it's possible they just already made the money that they wanted to. They already accumulated all the Bitcoin after making all the money from these big liquidations that they might let go, and neither pattern number 1 or 2 actually plays out. But if they're still pulling the strings right now, it's not in the spring phase. We're getting ready to find out if in Wyckoff pattern number 1, if we're getting ready to come down here, maybe tag this, it would probably tag this, and maybe wick past, maybe come down to 25K, something like that. So that would still be sideways, I guess. Yeah, 24, 25K. I guess I would take 24 out of this one. I would say below 24 and 16K, something like that. So down to 24K, still sideways, choppy and up. Because if it hits that would be the ultimate low, and then you would just chop sideways. And accumulation pattern number 1, you chop sideways for a few months, maybe to October, something like that. But in pattern number 2, this was the ultimate low, and it's just this the whole freaking time. Horrible, boring. They're suppressing price, making people get out of crypto so that the efforts with which they need to take to suppress price, it goes down because there's hardly any buy pressure. They can just make sure that the agreements among the several people just don't market buy too much and don't break the promise of the Bitcoin cartel. Because they have to not break the plan. If one of them cheats against the other, the cartel breaks apart and shit, they'll probably try to outbuy each other. Because the only reason this happened is because they want your Bitcoin. That's literally what this is. Wyckoff is in order to make money on the way down, even if it wasn't going to go down, and then to buy it when it's down after all the money they made, and keep it suppressed so they can keep buying it because they are a believer in whatever asset that is. That is the entire point of this, right? All right. So sideways and down actually could happen, and if sideways and down happens, that means Wyckoff is done. Like, that would negate Wyckoff. Wyckoff does not call for this. I mean, sideways until August and down. That Wyckoff does not have that in a pattern. That would mean Wyckoff's done. And you would actually probably make a little bit more money like this through a capitulation. Number 1 is we get a big, massive bull trap and then go down. How far? I don't know. So in this case, it could be, even though this isn't to scale, right? So I'd have to go like this, but up then down. This also has a few. This could hit 24K, 26K, 20K, 16K. And honestly, this would be the best. Because I would be able to sell into a relief rally and then buy a capitulation. This would be by far the most profitable one. A massive bull trap would be by far the best situation for somebody who knows what he or she is doing. This might be the second or third best if we literally just recover and start going to the moon. It's a second or third best. This also might be the second or third best if we don't go sideways for long and we just capitulate soon within 60 days. This would actually probably be more profitable than this one. But then again, it's more fun to make money more immediately, right? But still, in a year or a year and a half time frame, this would be more profitable. So I would say most profitable, second most profitable, third most profitable, fourth most. No, that's last. Fifth most, sixth most. So obviously, Wyckoff is the least profitable for consumers who aren't pulling the puppet strings. Do you see that? Mathematically sound stuff. Why it really sucks these. But the good thing is they're not going to be able to do this again. But most likely, they'll have to do it through volatility, which volatility is good for people who know how to trade. Because this, I mean, even though this was volatile, it's only 2 weeks of volatility. Now it's flat. It sucks. It's not profitable. It's the least profitable, right? So what I think is the most probable. And when I say most probable, I don't mean 50% plus. I mean, out of these 5 scenarios, if you made a pie graph, good, I actually did that about right. If you make a pie graph of these 5, it only means which one has the biggest slice. The biggest slice doesn't have to be 50%. It only has to be 21% chance. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So the question is, which is the most probable? And at this point, is it probable enough to make, like bet the house on it? That second question, I would say no. None of these stand out as being so probable that you can kind of count on it, but be ready for something else to play out. I think each of them are not far away from being a 20% probability. Actually, you know what? I bet this is the smallest. I bet that is by far, yeah. So like literally rallying up this year and hitting 200K or even 115K, I don't think that's going to happen. However, I do think it's possible, but I would say it's the smallest chunk. So number 4 is the smallest. I honestly think the most probable scenario here is the least profitable. I think Wyckoff will continue to play out. I think we'll either get an ultimate low of 26 to 25, 24K, and then it just grinds out this range until September, starts inching up, finally gets higher than 42K, maybe in September, October, and then October, November gets up to 50K, flirts with that, and then New Year is teasing with all-time highs, and by January, February, makes all-time highs. That's both Wyckoff accumulation 1 and 2. Regardless of a lower low here, who cares? It's still sideways. Ultimately, it's still sideways. I think these are the most probable, but it's only one option because they're almost the same pattern. Unfortunately, I think the least profitable is the most probable, folks, because right now it's printing exactly, and there's absolutely no reason to believe that they're going to stop doing it because all they want to do is accumulate more Bitcoin. Now, I think if the stock market crashes soon, which I don't see it crashing soon, but if it does, this would absolutely happen. By force, those Wyckoff folks would actually stop their algos, stop the computer connection or whatever they got going on, and they would just prepare to buy bottoms. And they would probably step in, I don't know. I would guess they would step in at 21K. Right? Nope, actually. Yeah, I bet they would front run this. I bet it'd be 21.9 right there at that candle wick. That's what I would guess. I think because there's so much interest to accumulate Bitcoin and 20K is such a big target, I don't think it would go to 20K. And I don't think the people trying to accumulate would sell their Bitcoin that, you know, more, that's low. I think they're getting as much Bitcoin as they need from making all this money here and accumulate down here. I don't think they would need to assist the price to go down to 16K. I just don't see that happening. However, that is within number 5. Like 20, you know, around 20K is this one, 16K and 12K are absolutely options. But within number 5, I would say 21.9 would be where it stops. If the stock market were to crash and Bitcoin just capitulated immediately, or without the stock market, even just capitulated. So I think these two, even though it's just number 3, Wyckoff is most probable. I think a bull trap is second most probable. I think this is least probable. And so 1, 2, 3. Yep. So I think first probable, second most probable, third most probable, fourth most probable, fifth most probable. And I think by far and away, this is the least probable. I would say the fourth most probable, this one, is not far away from this guy. So I think by far and away, number 3 and number 1 would have the biggest probabilities. And if you can draw that out, 5, okay, so how would I do? So number 4, just straight up, I think it would be like that. So number 4 would go here. Actually, let me get rid of my drawings before I do this so you can see it. Number 4 would go here. Number 5 would go, so this would be 25%. It's going to be smaller than that, somewhere like this. So number 5 is here. Number 2, so this is 25%. It might be close to 25%, actually. It's got to be less, though, right? So like that. So maybe like an even 20% is number 2. And now you have about 55% of the pie left. I would say number 3 and number 1. So I think those are all the, you know, most likely scenarios, 5 most likely scenarios. And I think these are the probabilities to play out. So in trading, you wait to trade until you have an edge. However, if you trade on smaller time frames, you don't need to wait until one of these becomes obvious. You can trade on smaller time frames, kind of like I'm doing in my Patreon community as of today. It's the first time I've day traded in a while, and it actually went pretty well. I'm under a lot of pressure to make it well too, because I was waiting for a relief rally, and I really thought Dash was going to be a good one. Because I've been putting so much time and effort into Patreon. Because this is my job now. I had to quit my other job, obviously. And so I hadn't been day trading for the first time since since February. And I was trying to catch a relief rally, and it never happened, so it was a bummer. But on tripping. So as of today, I started day trading, and good to go now. But I should be good to go anyway. So that's the wrap-up. So if you are new and you ended up watching this, go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. If you subscribe, you need to let me know if you want to be a cryptilian or a crypto crackhead now that you joined the YouTube community. If you want to join Patreon, it is approaching. I would wait. Is it the first of the month? Yeah, first of the month, right? Yeah, so it is July 1st. So you don't want to join at the end of the month because it charges you for that whole month. That's just how Patreon works. So, but in there, it shows you. So you can go to my Patreon. It's the top link in there if you want to check it out, because I guess it is the first. It's a great time to check it out. And I have lower tiers. If you don't know what it's like, you want to experience it first. The lower tier, it's like, I don't know, like $5 or something, $6. So check that out, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe in crypto, because a lot of weird crap could be happening, or a lot of boring crap could be happening. So we'll see you later.